Hi, my name is Michael Bean, and this is your lesson for myfreeactingclass.com for what is today, Thursday, September the 3rd. Today, we are doing a little improvised Ask Me Anything, and then if we've got time, we're going to look at a short audition script that's got some interesting physical behavior in it. We haven't done that for a little while, and I think it's always good to practice sort of what are we doing on camera. If you are leaving your video on, then I'm assuming that you're okay with me talking to you about what that video looks like and using you as an example and asking you if you want to volunteer and do things. And if you're like, oh my God, no, I don't want any of those things, then just turn your video off and I will know that this means you do not want to be asked to participate. And that's fine. Melissa started us off with our first question. Thank you so much, Melissa. She said, what's the #1 audition submission site in Canada? In Vancouver, currently there are 3 audition submission sites that are used by casting. 2 of them are, the 2 dominant ones are Breakdown Services, or Actors Access, and we had a lesson specifically on this. If you go into the YouTube channel and you search Actors Access, I believe that you'll find that. Hopefully I put it somewhere in the tagline, keyword, something. But Actors Access, and the other one is called Casting Workbook. So if you want to look at the chat window, those are actorsaccess.com and castingworkbook.com. And so you should know about both of those. It's worth looking at both of them. Actors Access is a completely free account, right? They try to charge you for, if you want to submit yourself to projects, that kind of thing. To get good use out of Actors Access, you have to stay really on top of it. Because it's used by folks in LA, and in LA, folks are hungry. They are not like actors in Canada who are like, yeah, I'm gonna take an acting class, but it's really important that I do yoga and chill out. In LA, actors are like, oh my God, I left my family and I came to this horrible place to do acting. I must do every scrap of acting humanly possible. It's actually one of the best reasons, I think, at some point in your career to go and take a workshop in LA, because what you will discover is that actors there work so hard and are so passionate that when I've gone down there and taken workshops, I found that super inspiring. Because it, at least for me, is easy to fall into that rhythm of BC where it's like, yeah, I'll learn my lines and I'll do my scene, but it's not that big a deal. And the reminder, is that film and TV is extraordinarily competitive. And we are very, very lucky in Vancouver that if you have a talent agent, you will get auditions. Right? It's a small enough market. There just are a few enough people who look like you that at the very least you will get auditions for commercials. And if you have an agent that has a reputation for representing skilled actors, and if you show with your work and with your demo and with your materials that you are a skilled actor, you will get auditions for film and TV, especially over a long enough span of time. That is not necessarily true in LA. I know actors who've been there, and had representation and have been there for years and years and still have not gotten auditions, right? The very, very, very competitive. So actorsaccess.com, castingworkbook.com. You would be expected to keep both of those profiles up to date and make sure that your current headshot was on there and that your current credits were on there. Now there is also, shoot, I'm gonna get the website wrong, but I think it's called Cast It Networks. Is that the website? Anybody? Yeah, Deborah is nodding, but maybe she's just being supportive.
Yeah, I've heard of Cast It.
Yeah, I'm just the actual website. Anyway, I'll find it. Network. The castittalent.com. So Cast It Talent came onto the scene fairly recently. There was like a big blow up, with I believe with Breakdown Services. The last year, that I probably should not go into and have recorded for permanent record, but uh, out of that, Fox, the network, was like, forget you breakdown services. We're going to go do our own thing. We're going to use Cast It Network, Cast It Talent instead. And so Fox Films, to the best of my knowledge, still use this specific submission service, and they've been aggressively sort of picking up market share, in Vancouver. And so at this point, Cast It Talent is used mostly by commercial casting directors. And my understanding is, like, I talked to a commercial casting director who was like, "Yeah, actors here don't know about this enough. They're not keeping their materials up to date. You can really tell the actors here, who are." Sort of going to that next level. So if you're auditioning for commercials, I would say that that's a third service that's worth keeping an eye on. And I mean, really, this should not take you a lot of time. This is like, and setting them up initially, learning them initially will take a little bit of time, and then after that, you just put it on your calendar, half an hour once a month, to sort of look at it, clean it up. All right. The Actors Access, they say if you're going to submit things there, you look every day. But realistically, submitting to the things in LA, you are submitting against hundreds or thousands of other people. Plus, you actually are not legal to work there. Plus, right now, you'd have to fly into a country that's in the middle of a horrible pandemic. So realistically, probably not a priority to be there on Actors Access every day applying for projects in LA right now. Just throwing that out there. Instead, you'd want to go to VancouverActorsGuide.com, VancouverActorsGuide.com. The full disclosure, I sponsor that website, or I'm one of the sponsors there and have been for a very long time. But the guy who runs it, he has other projects that he's doing. He's been sort of running this, as a side project for a long time, and it is the best site for resources for local actors. It's where you will find, it's the place where all the people who kind of know where to find things post auditions. So if people at film schools post auditions there, indie filmmakers post auditions there, it is so much better than Craigslist. Craigslist used to be a decent place to find auditions, but then Craigslist canceled their adult section. And so now if you go to the audition section on Craigslist, you're going to find a lot of ads for nude models, and then scattered in there are going to be a few legitimate ones from the indie filmmakers. And almost all of those will have already posted it to Vancouver Actors Guide. So just save yourself the headache, and go to Vancouver Actors Guide. So Kevin just said, I've booked a few independent films from Vancouver Actors Guide, right? That's where I once spent 2 weeks on set. I booked the lead in an independent film that was a paid gig, and was 2 weeks of shooting, all with very skilled industry professionals, from an ad that I saw in Vancouver Actors Guide. I was like, I never go on here. Oh, this looks interesting, and it just turned into something good. And did that make me go on to Vancouver's Actors Guide every 2 weeks and check for projects for myself and submit myself? No, I'm one of those actors that I was talking about where I'm like, no, but that would get in the way of my yoga practice, and I don't know. See, the reason I need to be inspired by those LA people is because I want to be hungry. I do. I really want to. We'll see how I am, and talk to me in 10 years. I'm working my way up. But if you figure that stuff out now, if you're like, no, actually, this is really what I want, and I'm going to, get in the habit of doing this all the time, there are not very many actors who do that extra level of keeping all of their materials up to date and having high quality materials and submitting themselves for everything. Right? It's rare enough that it actually stands out. And that thing that Cassandra Ebner said on Tuesday about when she started, she just did everything. She was a production assistant. She was like, cool, you didn't cast me, but your project seems really great. Can I just show up? I'll help direct traffic. I just want to hang out. You guys seem rad. She really did everything she could. And that's how she made relationships. And that's how you actually get something. Not by being skeezy about the relationships, hey, what can you give me? And I'll direct traffic for you if you do stuff for me. But just by showing up and being cool and being interested and being a good human and asking questions and meeting people. What you will find is that in film and TV, there are so many people who do each of these things that relationships become super important. And I don't know, the example that I will often use with people is dentists. If you're in a tiny town where there's one dentist, then of course you just go use that dentist. And if there's two dentists, I don't know, then maybe you like call them both. But if you are in any kind of city that has like 100 dentists or 400 dentists, then what do? You ask people. You say, hey, Candy, have you been to a dentist that you like? Because my teeth are feeling weird and I need to go to a dentist. And Candy's like, oh, yeah. There's this guy, Michael Bean, and he's a dentist and you should go see him. I'm not actually a dentist, by the way. I'm using this as an example for actors. So don't call me about your teeth work because I don't know anything about it. My dentist is an artist, and I'm like, man, that guy figured that out early in life, right? He got his, he got all the schooling to be a dentist, and now he can just do dentistry, part time, like half day, 2 days a week, and he can make art all the rest of the time. And I'm just like, life plan. Wow, if I have to do that one all over again, maybe I'll follow the David Kong example. The detour about my dentist, that once there's enough people who do something, then referrals become super important, because there's just no way to tell, right? If there are 20 actors who look like me, which in Vancouver there are 20 actors who look like me at least, who have something close to my resume, a few less credits, or a few more credits, and some of them have a lot more credits. And in LA, that means there are 100 times as many. So there's 2,000 actors who just look like me. That means, white guys with beards and glasses who are bald, right? 2,000 of them, at least, right? So as soon as you get to LA, it's like, well, then of course you're going to ask people you know. That's why having an agent and a manager is what people do in LA. Because your agent knows some people and your manager knows some people, and each of them are going to get phone calls like, hey, who do you know who? Melissa's got more questions. If you don't have more questions, I'm just going to answer Melissa's questions the whole time. Yeah, and if you're all like, yeah, Melissa, ask your good questions. We love your questions. That's great. But I'm just saying, if somebody else has a question that you want to put in there, I'll answer it before Melissa's, so that we're mixing it up. In 3, 2, 1. Okay, our scripts then also usually on Showfax and Screenplay Online, both by Breakdown Services. I like to read as much of the script as possible, not just from my scene for the audition. I don't know the answer to that, Melissa. What is better, a manager or an agent? It's a great question. Is it Viola? Whichever one it is. In Vancouver, you're likely to find one person to represent you. It's actually only normal to have both in LA, because like I said, LA is such a huge market. There are 100 times as many working actors in Los Angeles as there are here. 30 times as much production, 100 times as many actors. So in LA, it's really normal to have both, but each of them takes a percentage. Your agent takes 15%, your manager takes 10%. That means that on top of the fact that the taxes are higher, on acting in the States, you also are giving 25% of everything you make to the people who represent you. So in Vancouver, Viola, you're not going to need to make a choice between them. If you happen to be working out of Los Angeles, or aiming to work out of Los Angeles, then you sign with like the best quality rep you can find, and it doesn't matter if they're an agent or a manager. And if you are in the point where you're like, gosh, I've got this amazing agent and this amazing manager, which one is better? Then you have a champagne problem, and it's not really the kind of thing that we should spend a lot of time talking about here, except to go like, wow, lucky you. That must be so tough to decide which of your super amazing reps, is better than the other. But the right, if you remember the agent, sorry, excuse me for one moment. That's my small person right there. There he is. Hello. Some people are like, this is my dog, right? When, Cass's dog climbs up into her lap, everybody's like, oh. Well, that's, I have one of those instead. right? So I come by working with young folks, honestly. And he loves chances to show off like that. He just doesn't want to be an actor. um, I have no idea where was in that thought because a small person came and bit my head. The agent or manager, right? So to answer Violet's question, what should we do about the gunfire part in the next practice self-tape audition? That is an excellent question. The I would say you react to it as though it is real. So I assume that Candy's question is like, do we need to make a gunfire sound to make the scene make sense? And no, of course you don't. Don't, I would say, don't ever make sound effects, and don't get your reader to make sound effects. Now the exception is, and I'm like, occasionally I've been doing a scene or doing an audition script, and particularly with gunfire. If sometimes it is really helpful for me, the actor, to have. It is really helpful for me, the actor, to have a loud sound to react to. And so sometimes what we'll do is get the reader to take the script and just go like this. So I'm like, poof, and for me, sometimes that helps, is to have a loud sound. I would just say, don't ever have somebody go, like anything that casting is going to go like, what the heck? Or, oh my God, that sound the reader made was really funny. Hey guys, come here and listen to the weird sound the reader makes. Anything that gets them paying attention to the reader instead of paying attention to you, probably not in the category of what you want to do. But with that in mind, something like that, banging your hand on a table, right? Something is making an actual loud sound that is just like a sharp bang, so that you can look over. If that helps you with your reaction, that's where it's useful. It's not necessary to tell the story from the perspective of the person watching the tape, but it will be helpful. Christina's like, I want to do the scene. Good, yeah, do it. And remember that doing it imperfectly is part of it. You could even, and I suppose I haven't said this in this lesson, but if you want to do it and say, hey, I did it, don't show mine on Monday. You could totally do that, right? Just so you got the practice, like that's totally allowed. So I'm interpreting Christina's question as like, is it okay if I do this thing and you don't show it to the world? Yeah, that would be totally okay. And then I can just say, hey, and Christina did this thing and I'm going to talk about it, but I'm not going to like show you the bits. If she's like, I had to tape it in my phone with my phone in my room, it was duct taped to the wall, it was a disaster, like whatever. Right? Like, I'm in a cabin in the woods right now. Like, you just make it work. The technology is not the most important thing here. Okay, more questions? And so, Melissa, I know that I just don't have much answer to your question about like, are the scripts on Showfax or Screenplay Online? The ones that are on Casting Workbook typically are not. So there isn't a like, follow this for the sides link. So a lot of the time you just don't have access to the script. It used to be that on Casting Workbook, you could like click on the project and all of the different audition scripts for the other parts would be there. But then I think they figured out that people like me and other actors were like pulling those scripts and using them for their acting classes or their own practice, and they got nervous about it and took it all down. I did find out, for anybody who's a Casting Workbook member, and I just found this out on Monday because one of the actors who's in my Monday night class found some great scenes for herself. And I was like, where did you find these? She's like, oh, Casting Workbook just started this new feature where they have like a script archive, and you can go in there and just put in like my age group, my gender, and poof, like a bunch of scripts pop up. So I thought that was cool. Like, I haven't investigated that myself yet, but if you are a Casting Workbook member, there's another place that you can go and get audition practice scripts. Okay, more questions. Oh, here we go. Yeah. Oh, more from Melissa. Yeah. All the questions. Hey, this is great. Look, if everybody else is like, damn, I'm going to think of all my good questions later. Melissa's just like, thinking of them all right now. On Actors Access, if you have a slate attached, your submission goes to the top. Does that apply to Casting Workbook and Cast It Talent too? Any other technical tricks? What Melissa's talking about is with Actors Access or Breakdown Services, one of the ways that they like try and get money from actors, because it's free, but is that if you have what is called a slate shot, which, it's not that expensive. I can't remember. It's, what is it, Melissa, like $10 a year, $20 a year, something like that. Right, $5 per slate. So it's very inexpensive. But when when talent agents do submissions, um, it just sort of dumps them all into the same file. And I wish I could show it to you, but I've never been able to get a casting director, for obvious reasons, to let me like video it. But basically it's a screen, with 50 little actual like thumbnail size, or maybe like the end of your thumb size pictures, with like just 3 words underneath. It's like your name and your agent's name. It's almost no information. It's just pictures. They're looking through 50 a page. Now, let's say they get 500 submissions. At least with breakdown services, which a lot of film and TV projects in Vancouver use, the ones that have a slate shot go to the top automatically. And so I don't know if a lot of the casting directors watch them. I've only had Chris Waz, who came on here as a guest a couple of months ago. He's said, in casting director workshops, that he loves watching those, that he watches the slate shots all the time. For the rest of them, it might just be worth doing so that they have to scroll by your picture to get to the picture of the people they want. So that they're like, well, I want somebody, ooh, hey, who's this Christina girl? She seems really interesting. Like, is there maybe a chance of that? Sure. I mean, if it's $5, so I think it's a good investment. I have one. Although mine's really old. I haven't replaced it in ages, but also like I'm basically just have it to bump up to the top. And in terms of technical tricks for casting workbook and cast it talent, the only thing that I would say is demo material on there. And I've talked about demo material, which is just basically video clips of you of any kind. Have a couple of short ones. So it used to be, that you would want like a slick, like 2 minutes or 3 minutes or 5 minutes, and they're not going to watch 5 minutes. And so these days, the thing to do is to have 30 seconds of dramatic footage, or 30 seconds of comedic footage, or like 1 minute of sitcom, or, and so to have multiple small clips so that your agent can attach only the one that's relevant to the project, only the one that showcases you the best. And the baseline idea, it's been a long time since I talked about this, but it's true for resumes, for headshots, for demos, that they're not a record of all the work you've done. They are a guide for decision makers on how to cast you next. It's like, here's how to cast me next. That's what this demo is. So for instance, if I had demo footage, and I have demo footage of myself with hair, because I had hair still when I started acting in film and TV. And I can't use those clips anymore. Because they'd be like, wow, who's this guy with hair? That's not the guy we see in the auditions. This is not the guy we see in the headshots. So even if I have really amazing footage that's like makes me look all fancy and is with fancy actors, because I've got some of that from 15 years ago, I can't use it for my demo, or I choose not to use it for my demo. Because it's not about showing off the stuff that I've done in the past. It's about showing people, look, here, I can work professionally. This is what I look like on film. Here's how to cast me next. Okay. Deborah here. Do you know where I may be able to get scripts from the earlier days of film with some of the great actors in them? That's a great question, Deborah. And I don't know the exact website that you would use. But these days, there are transcriptions of shows are so much easier to come by. So if you search the movie that you want, probably you will find that someone somewhere has just run it through a computer and gotten an automatic transcription of it. And so it won't be perfect, but especially if you've got the movie there to reference, you can go and go put the movie there, put this transcription in front of you, just kind of correct all the weird computer misspellings. That might save you a little bit of time. The other thing you can do is if you've got a movie you really like, one of the easiest ways to transcribe a movie, and I wish I had known this sooner, is if you open up a Google Doc and basically you put headphones in with the movie, and then you talk to your computer basically. So you in your Google Doc you put voice recognition. What you can do is you can, on the headphones, you play one line of the movie, you pause it, you say the line out loud, blah, 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 it shows up there on the screen. You play another line, you say it out loud, blah, 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 it shows up on the screen, right? If you get good at that, you can sometimes even do it in real time without needing to pause it, because the computer can't hear your headphones, and then you can hear all the lines, and then you don't have to like type and then go, oh my God, was that a that or this? And go back and listen to it and try and break your brain, which is what I've done before when transcribing scenes. So if you want material to practice with, from that you are inspired by, that's one place that you can go and get it. Kevin, what are the main types of TV shows in town? You say 50% Hallmark and 50% sci-fi. Yeah, I mean that's an oversimplification. But there's a lot of Hallmark TV movies. The Hallmark ones, kind of everything is a little bit lighter. It's hopeful. Things are going to end well. So even if you're like sort of upset about your dead husband, you know that he's in a better place, right? Even if you're crying over your dead parents, like you still know that ultimately they're in heaven and you're going to be okay. Right, that's Hallmark. Lifetime, it's we're going for, it's like higher drama, almost close to melodrama, and then you've got all these like sci-fi and superhero shows, and that's definitely 50. 50/50, is probably inaccurate. It's probably more like 30/30, and then 40% all of the many random other things that come through town. But if you're looking at sort of like chunks, that's where I would put it. It also would be good for, I think it's good to understand some of the main networks that shoot. Netflix, of course, is all over the map, but then there's the CW network, for instance, has a very specific style. And if maybe I'll use, after I answer Melissa's last question, I'll use 2 minutes to show you my how CW style exercise, just because it's a fun thing that I do with my classes sometimes. Do casting directors like physical or email thank you cards, or are those thrown away unread? Is Melissa's. So basically, if you book something, then I think it is totally appropriate, to send a physical thing to a casting director in Vancouver. If you just get an audition, you can, but I don't think, in my opinion, as long as you don't send them something like giant or tacky or demanding, it just doesn't hurt you at all, because the casting directors that like them actually look at them, and the rest of them honestly just recycle them without ever looking at them. And so those ones don't hurt you at all, aside from the cost of the stamp and your time. I will say that this past year I did fairly elaborate Christmas package for all the local casting directors, because I'd never done it before. And I was like, I wonder what that will do, and I wonder if it will help. And did it contribute to all of them coming and volunteering on this particular free acting lesson? Maybe. And would I have gotten the exact same auditions, that I, in those couple of months after Christmas, that I did if I hadn't sent them? Maybe. There's actually no way to tell. But I got some direct thank you emails from casting directors that I wasn't expecting, saying, thank you so much for the thing. And I was like, wow, they must really not get very many of these if these very busy Vancouver casting directors can take the time to send me a 5-word thank you email. So that's the information that I have. Is that I didn't have anybody say, never send me anything again, you tacky, horrible person. And I mean, I did something fun and tasteful. I sent them a bottle of wine, and it just was not that big a deal. So we'll see. And then, okay, so this is my CW exercise. So I need a volunteer. Candy, you want to be my volunteer? And then we'll get Caden to try it too, because Caden always loves to volunteer. Candy, you want to volunteer? Yeah, you do. Okay, great. It's just a line. It's just a line of dialogue. Okay. Good. So if your line of dialogue is where are you going, first just say it. Just say it. So CW is this network where everybody's really, really pretty, right? And so that means that half really good actors, really skilled actors who can carry the story, and half models, who maybe haven't taken as many acting classes, if we were going to say it as kindly as humanly possible. And so they need an acting style where both people can act side by side. And so this is what you often see in CW, is that there'll be excellent actors who are just like really specific and believable and real, and then you'll have actors who are doing this thing that I'm going to show you, because this is what you do with an actor who can't act, if you want them to be believable, and you want them to sort of fit in the style of CW. And once I show it, you'll be like, oh my God, I see that all the time. So we'll do it with Candy, and then we'll do it with Caden. So Candy, just say the line, where are you going?
Where are you going?
Exactly, right? So just purely, it's flat, totally factual. She's doing absolutely nothing with it. See if you can do even less, do nothing with it. Just say, where are you going?
Where are you going?
Good. Yeah, exactly. So that's the next thing you do, is you drop your voice down to that, like, it's not a whisper, but it's this kind of like almost like kind of half voice, right? Because if you're quiet like that, it makes the camera kind of lean into you, and you're like, Candy's feeling something. I wonder what it is. It's the absolute opposite of what you were doing with your tape that we looked at on Monday, Christina. And I don't recommend that you devoice your characters. I'm not saying skilled actors do that. I'm saying that it's a tactic that you will see people use on actual TV shows and get away with. And when you notice it, you're like, hey, they're doing that thing Michael Bean talked about, do that devoicing thing. And it's because it makes you lean in and go, wow, then what are they feeling? I wonder what they must be feeling something. And if it's set up and lit well, and music is telling you they're feeling something, and the way the camera is moving is telling you they're feeling something, then if you can just get Candy to stay completely out of the way and maybe hint that possibly she's feeling something, then we can believe it. So it starts with that devoicing thing. Now, Candy, say the line, this is really important.
Like you just said it, or?
Yeah, just take the hat off too so I can see your face.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Okay.
So say this is really important.
This is really important.
Go even further with it. Really go all the way with it. Say this is really important.
This is really important.
Good. Now go. You're just going to go back to the words. Where are you going? And you're going to go back to that half voice, but underneath it, you're going to put this is very important.
This is very important.
Good. But now you're going to say the words. Where are you going?
Where are you going?
Yeah, you feel that? Okay. And then if you really wanted to like exaggerate the CW thing, what you would do is you'd wrinkle your forehead, like just this little crease between your eyebrows, like that, right? So scrunch up the center of your forehead, just scrunch it up a little bit, not with your fingers, but like actually scrunch it up, like, okay, but lean into the camera because we can't see you enough. Yeah, exactly. Scrunch it up even more than you think. Yeah, it's going to feel slightly weird. Yeah, good. Yeah. Keep it really simple. Lose the smile. Remember how important it is. Use the half voice and say, "Where are you going?"
Where are you going?
CW acting. See, and so what you'll see in these shows is that like half of the actors are doing like amazing, really skilled work because they gotta like carry everybody else, and then half of the actors are like eyebrow furrow. Where are you going? And you're like, ooh, his eyebrows are furrowed, and he's doing that half voice. He must be feeling something. I wonder what it is. It's so interesting. So, okay, Caden, you want to try it? Okay, so look right at the camera, and say, where are you going?
Where are you going?
Good, exactly. Now drop your voice down quieter, not a whisper, but just kind of quiet, and say, where are you going?
Where are you going?
Even quieter.
Where are you going?
Good, exactly. Now say, this is really important. And just like it's really, really important. Say it.
This is really important.
Good, exactly. Now keep that underneath the line. So it's like you were saying this, how important it is, but all you're saying is, where are you going? So use that little voice and say, where are you going?
Where are you going?
Okay, lose the smile and make it important. Make it really important.
Where are you going?
Yeah, good. Now do the little eyebrow scrunch. There you go. It's okay. Just the eyebrows, not the rest of your face. Just the eyebrows. Lose the smile. There you go. Yeah. Just the eyebrows. I know it has to be. I know it feels weird. It feels weird. Just do it anyway. You got this. I believe in you. Relax your face. Lose the smile. Just relax your face. Relax your face. I can still. There you go. Now say it.
Where are you going?
Boom! CW acting! There it is! And it's like, what's so weird is that like you can see that on those TV shows. Anyway, we're on a couple of minutes over because I wanted to show you something fun and not just talk at you the whole time. Tomorrow, we're going to interview Leanne Lapp, who just finished a couple of weeks on a Hallmark movie. We can ask her Kevin's question of like, is it actually 50% Hallmark and 50% sci-fi? Then, the person actually who could answer that question, I think, Kevin, is a talent agent. Somebody who actually sees all the breakdowns that come through. So maybe I'll get another talent agent to come in as a guest. We can ask them some of those questions. Because every actor will look you in the eyes and give you an answer, but it's going to be based on what they auditioned for. And so they don't actually have a sense of like what the whole market is. They'll just think they do or feel like they do. And so somebody's confidence level isn't necessarily a good gauge of like, do they know everything about what's happening in Vancouver? All right. I will see some of you tomorrow, and have a fabulous Thursday evening. Bye, friends. Nice work with the CW, you too.
Bye.
Everybody.
Great class, thank you.